question. And many of you have already completed the COTAD-ED participant educator connection form online. And that will, again, will just be a way for us to learn more about you, learn more about what your needs are for the future as well. And I should introduce myself. I'm Cristina Reyes Smith. I am co-chair of COTAD-ED, which is a branch of the Coalition of OT Advocates for Diversity. And so, yes, so we had about 125 people registered, but that was about an hour ago, and we have others who have been joining us as well. So if you have some lunch, feel free to eat. Video is preferred, but we absolutely understand. You can turn it off if needed and just listen. There will likely be individuals, animals coming through backgrounds, and we certainly understand that. I may have some come through a little later myself, but we are really excited to be able to offer this with you. Here are a couple photos from our group with COTAD. We've been together for 6 years in a couple weeks. And so Catherine Hoyt, our chair, will be speaking a little more to that later on. We're very excited about celebrating our anniversary. Our agenda for today will be going over just some overview, introductions briefly, and also I'm going to talk a little bit about why we're here in the first place. We'll also have some words from AOTA, from our president, Wendy Hildenbrand, which we're very excited about, as well as Sherry Karamidas, who is our executive director of the AOTA. And we'll have some updates from COTAD and COTAD-ED. And then our sessions today are a little different from a traditional workshop or continuing education style. We wanted to provide announcements and updates to you, but a hallmark of our COTAD-ED lunches and dinners has been having these small group breakout sessions where you can interact with other educators, other future educators as well, to share about what are some of the experiences that you're having in your home institutions and in your academic programs, the challenges, the strategies, and hopefully we can help you to establish some solutions and resources that you may not have been aware of to take back to be more effective in your home areas. And so after the small groups, we'll come back together, and those groups will be groups of 4. You'll be randomly assigned through modern technology with Zoom, and then we'll come back for large group discussion, and we'll have some closing remarks from our COTAD Vice President, Dr. Arame Andrizade. And so that is our general overview. As I mentioned, I serve as the co-chair of COTAD-ED. I am one of the original co-founders of COTAD, and a little later we'll have introductions from some of the COTAD leadership as well. So we want to just thank everyone who has supported us through COTAD, COTAD-ED, our COTAD student chapters. Many of you are working with your students right now to establish those or grow them in your academic programs. And the work that Dr. Rame Andrizade has done helping to build those programs is just phenomenal. And so, but it wouldn't happen without you and your support as well through that initiative and the many other initiatives over these last 6 years. We also wanted to take a moment to just of silence to reflect on those who are currently struggling with the coronavirus, those who are on the front lines of the struggle as well, the healthcare workers, the essential workers, and others who are having to be a part of the national initiatives and that battle, so to speak. We also want to take a moment to recognize those who have been lost and the families, the friends, and the loved ones of those as well. So we'll go ahead and do that now. All right. So back in October, we had a group, we had our first strategic planning retreat for COTAD. Last year, we established our 501c3 nonprofit status officially, and so we were able to have some visioning time. President Wendy Hildenbrand was there. She was able to virtually attend for a little while, as well as Rylisha Gibbs, who is our guest speaker on Saturday. And one of our ideas was one day we could host a virtual workshop. And so, so that day is here, or some kind of virtual conference. And so this is our first time hosting something of this capacity. So thank you for being here. Thank you for bearing with us, especially if you had some technological issues logging on. But we wanted to take a few minutes just to talk about why we are here. And if you're just joining us, we are recording this session and we'll be posting this in the future. So if you miss some of it, you'll be able to get that. We will not be recording the small group discussions later. Those will be more private for you. But so in terms of why we are here, so Vision 2025, hopefully we are all very familiar with at this time. So in the addition last year from the Board of Directors for the inclusive profession piece at the very beginning, we are very much in support of and very grateful for the AOTA's leadership support, as well as the MDI groups, the multicultural diversity and inclusion groups, and really helping to bring this vision to all people, populations, and communities through initiatives related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the 5 pillars are listed here. The 5th one on inclusion, diversity, and equity was added in November 2018. And the AOTA update, I'm sure they'll provide some updates as to where we are with that. And then, of course, the Centennial Vision. This is really where we started with COTAD about the diverse workforce and meeting society's occupational needs. So those are still very much at the heart and soul of who we are as therapists. So if you look at national healthcare expenditures with the United States, we are now number 2. We were number 1 for quite some time for how much we spend on healthcare. But in terms of life expectancy at birth, as well as a number of other national health indicators, we're not number 1, 2, 3, or even 4. We actually are currently number 43. And so when I was an OT student 15 years ago, we were number 24, which really troubled me at that time. And we have continued to decrease in our national rankings. And that's not just among developed countries, that's among countries worldwide. So we definitely have had some kind of disconnect with how much we're spending and the value that we're getting out of our systems. If you look, also we talk about meeting society's occupational needs and access to healthcare. We do have data on racial and ethnic demographics, which we are projected to continue to grow racially and ethnically, which also has cultural implications related to language, health literacy, socioeconomic status in some cases, educational levels, et cetera, et cetera. We also look at other aspects of diversity too that we don't necessarily have data related to. And so the LGBTQ organization, or excuse me, population, for example. And there are various organizations within the MDI groups that we'll show you in just a little bit that relate to various religious groups and groups, population, individuals with disabilities who are in our workforce as well, and our students coming through our programs. When we talk about culture, the impact to daily occupations encompasses what we eat and how we exercise and sleep, our education and literacy, how we interact socially, what kind of activities we're engaged with, how we communicate verbally, non-verbally, as well as our access to healthcare and this concept of health literacy. And I think in this era of the coronavirus and social distancing, we are so much more aware of occupational disruption and how it's affecting each of our lives right now and changing very rapidly on a day-to-day basis. And so culture and occupation are very intimately intertwined, and that is reflected in our OT practice framework, at least the 3rd edition. The 4th edition is forthcoming, where culture or cultural appears 36 times. So there have been a number of national calls to action where research evidence demonstrated that there were disparities in our healthcare system, that there were data-driven and evidence-based measurable differences in how individuals were relating or receiving care related to cultural differences. And so there have been numerous national calls to action around this, and the evidence has continued to evolve. There have been research articles related to the VA hospital system demonstrating that there is bias in the system. There are disparities, racial and ethnic disparities, and other disparities as well in the system, and that has just been echoed throughout a number of studies. And so in academia, the onus really is on us in terms of helping to promote workforce diversity, because we serve as gatekeepers into the profession. And so we have to take a long look at our admissions criteria. Holistic admissions and holistic review have been advocated for adamantly through the American Association of Medical Colleges, and you can go to their website for more information about that. But really looking at diversifying the healthcare system. And in medicine, they have been able to have a wide variety of improvements, changing and diversifying the medical profession, and other health professions have been following suit as well. And in occupational therapy, we have a long way to go. We've been making progress, but it's going to take work across academic programs, across communities, across the country to really see the kind of change that we wish to see. We do have some guiding documents related to occupational therapy. In addition to the Centennial Vision and Vision 2025, we have a Code of Ethics advisory opinion on cultural competence and sensitivity, which was updated last year to look more, in addition to the patient-provider experience, but also looking at workforce diversity and interactions with students and clinician to clinician, and so forth. There is a statement on inclusion and non-discrimination that is currently available through the AOTA website, and there was a motion to update this, and I believe it's about a 4-page document now, where previously it was a little over 1 page. So it's really grown, and we tried very hard to create a more robust resource available to practitioners and educators and students around diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Health Literacy Society statement is available as well, and that's an area you've been seeing accreditation standards around. It's also highly linked to social determinants of health, which you are likely incorporating into your curricula as well. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the OT practice framework. So the Multicultural Diversity and Inclusion Network Toolkit, it was developed 2 or 3 years ago through the MDI groups. And so hopefully you are aware that we have a number of different affinity groups that are posted through the beautiful new AOTA website. Hopefully you've seen the new website and logo. If not, you might head over there during this session or afterwards. But these all link to wonderful resources on addressing a variety of diverse needs from our communities that you can incorporate into your classrooms for case studies, for development of cognitive activities, and also with the new ACO accreditation guidelines, there are more learning activities that are really being integrated around community and population health, particularly in the doctorate accreditation guidelines. So I am hoping that Wendy and Dr. Hildenbrand, President Hildenbrand, and Sherry Keramidas are on the line. It looks like we have about 68, 69 people currently on. So I'm going to try to find you and unmute you. All right, Wendy, President Hildebrand, Sherry, we so appreciate, we know you're incredibly busy right now. Thank you for your leadership with the conference, making a speedy judgment and also offering unique opportunities for speakers to continue to get their content out there. We greatly appreciate your collaboration, your vision, all the many contributions that you're bringing to the profession right now, and please do not hesitate to reach out if there's anything that we can do to assist you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do want to make sure, was it Kim that had a birthday yesterday?
Happy
I just
birthday,
thought I'd say happy birthday. I see you. Okay, you all, I'm going to hang around. This is going to be a great meeting. Thank you.
Fantastic.
I'm going to leave you because I have another call coming up. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again for being here. So for COTAD and COTAD-ED, I'm going to unmute Catherine Hoyt, and then we'll also hear from Lexi Rebney, who is our COTAD-ED chair.
Who would you like to go first, Christina?
You can go first.
Okay. Well, I guess on that note, first I'd like to say thank you to Cristina for putting together this wonderful virtual discussion today. She put in a lot of effort to make sure that we had everything together and that it would be a safe space for open discussion without getting Zoom bombers. So thank you, Cristina, of stress that everybody in this group is experiencing collectively to get everything together and make sure that students are able to continue on their educational pathways as they planned and graduate as they planned and move on in their careers. So thank you to everybody. This is definitely a unique time. Sorry, that was my cat. For a few updates for COTAD, we've had a very eventful year. As Cristina mentioned, a bit over a year ago, we officially got 501c3 nonprofit status, and we've been lunging forward since then. In the past year, we've welcomed 6 new members to the COTAD board, including Devlin New, who's going to be working on a case study library. So look for that in the coming months. Emily Sherman, who's going to be rolling out a general membership option so we could get more people actively involved in committees and some of the work that we're doing. Kalia Johnson, who's doing COTAD Conversations. They're public. They're on Facebook. You can listen to them anytime. Helen Valencia, who's helping with our minority mentorship program. Michelle De Jesus, helping with our COTAD chapters program. And Michelle Finet, who's been working with social media and student support. Under some of those programs that I just mentioned briefly that our new board members are helping with, the first one that I'd like to highlight is our minority mentorship program, which this year under the leadership of Megan Lambert now has 56 active dyads. So that's a student matched with an OT, experienced OT, to help them through whatever they are seeking a mentorship opportunity for. That can be somebody matched with them for facilitating growth in occupational therapy, or potentially somebody who's able to understand their background and how the educational experience might be affecting them. On that note, since it has been so successful, we actually currently have 15 to 20 student mentees waiting for mentors. There is an active backlog. We need more mentors. Everybody on this call, if you are interested in becoming a mentor, please email cotad.mmp@gmail.com. MMP is for Minority Mentorship Program, cotad.mmp@gmail.com. You can also get the information on our website. If you are interested, you can join us Saturday morning for COTAD Live, our full day event, and we'll be presenting the Mentor of the Year Award on Saturday morning. The second big COTAD program is the COTAD Chapters program, which is led by Aramayan Varisade, which now boasts 31 active chapters and 9 in process for a total of 40 COTAD chapters around the country. These chapters have volunteered countless hours, put together presentations, activities, and conversations at universities around the country that has expanded our reach exponentially. If you join us on Saturday, you can see the presentation of the Chapter of the Year Award, which I'm really excited for everybody to hear about. They've done some really wonderful, wonderful things in their program. This year, we were also very pleased to launch COTAD Community, which is a new initiative to connect practitioners to opportunities to support the local community where conference is held. This year, the COTAD chapters raised over $700 for Rosie's Place in Boston, and materials were donated from COTAD chapters and practitioners and educators around the country for over 500 wellness kits to be created and donated. This wouldn't have been possible without our COTAD community crew, Jonette Ishmael, Whitney Harris, Christina Alabastro, and Bianca Callier, and especially to Kim Shoso, who had her birthday yesterday, who really made this possible. She was our local contact in Boston. She received pounds and pounds of humongous packages that loaded her entire house with donations from everyone across the country and some wonderful organizations that support occupational therapy. In addition to that, we continue to collaborate with MDI, AOTA, and AOTF. We're looking forward to that updated statement on our commitment to inclusion when it's I think it's still waiting to be approved by the RA, is my understanding. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. Call me out on that. But as a result of all of these things this year, we've been able to increase our fundraising efforts, expand our ability to create materials, and provide additional support to students, faculty, and practitioners. We wouldn't be able to do this without all of you. So thank you, everybody, for your time and dedication and your passion and setting aside this morning to be with us. That's it.
All right, we're moving into COTAD-ED. Thank you, Catherine. Yes, it is really a special moment. We're all sharing together here today and thinking about, you know, where we all would have been together in Boston. So I am really grateful we can all connect, and thank you for the leadership in AOTA and for all of you joining us. So again, I'm Alexia Revny. I'm the admissions coordinator and an instructor for the occupational therapy program at UW-Madison. And I'm also one of the newest chairs of COTAD-ED. COTAD-ED originally founded as an initiative within COTAD, and that was Cristina and Stephanie Lancaster as original COTAD-ED chairs of that. But really with COTAD-ED, we want to provide a platform and opportunities for OT educators to connect and share resources related to instruction, program policies, and initiatives to support current and future occupational therapy students of all backgrounds. So we want to, within that, support one another to collaborate, build relationships, and share so much of the great work that you all are doing, and give us a chance to do that with one another in a variety of ways. So that brings us here today in this live session we're offering. You'll see here on the slide that we try to offer an opportunity for all of us educators who are passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion to gather together, typically at our national conferences and at the AOTA Education Summit. We've been trying to do that for a number of years. In addition to offering these virtual opportunities where we can connect, share resources, allow others to connect to platforms where we can provide resources. So our current webpage for COTAD-ED does have some resources listed at the bottom of it, and it's within our overall the COTAD platform. So please feel free to check that out. And you can also sign up for our COTAD-ED or send an email to our COTAD-ED account, where we will then send you a survey. We're trying to figure out the optimal ways for us to continue to connect, and we'll add you to our email list so that we can always stay informed about these different events that we're hosting at conferences, in addition to possible presentations we might be providing. And also I'm really excited about the task force, as we learned about recently from AOTA, as we can continue to connect with our leadership as well. So if any of my fellow COTAD leaders have anything to add to that, please feel free. Cristina, did you have anything else to share?
Thank you, Lexi. So the work that we've been doing has been very, very exciting. The discussions on diversity we've been hosting at the National Conference and at the Education Summit. So this is our alternative providing it virtually this year, but we do plan to host some sort of discussion on diversity at the Ed Summit in St. Louis this year in October. So hopefully, if all is well, you can join us there, and we would love to have you. We're also looking at rolling out a COTAD state initiative where we would provide sort of a toolkit that individuals can use to host some sort of discussion on diversity in concert with their state association meetings. So you can look for something along those lines later this year. And also my role with COTAD will be transitioning in a bit. We'll see exactly how much, but I wanted to take just a quick second to say thank you to everyone who voted on my behalf for the AOTA Board of Directors. I have been so overwhelmed and humbled by this opportunity, and I'm really thrilled to get started in July with President Hildenbrand and Sherry and the other board members as well. And I also want to mention, don't hesitate to reach out if you have ideas, questions, concerns in the future. I would really love to hear perspectives from students, practitioners, and educators from across the country about your experiences. So thank you to all of you who were able to provide those announcements for us today. We will be moving into our next session here, and there's a couple of references that we provided earlier. So we'll have our a question and answer time here, and so you should be able to pose a question in the chat that we can address to the group. And I did get a message from someone earlier that private chats are not able to be sent, so sorry about that, but you can share it with the group if needed. I'm going to pull up my chat and I'm going to stop sharing as well. And then we'll go ahead and take a photo, a group photo, for those of you who are ready. I know it's hard to, sometimes just getting a shower is challenging in this new age, right? So we will, but you all look great. It's very exciting. I'm gonna take a quick picture on my phone of the current screen. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. And then I'm going to go over to page 2 here. You are not forgotten. 1, 2, 3. All right, very nice. Hopefully we have everyone that wanted to participate in that group shot. So, and I'll post that on the Twitter handle too. So you might be able to access it there. All right, so questions in the chat. Let's see. Instagram, Catherine is adding a picture to our Instagram account. Please use hashtag COTAD Live when you post on social media. Any other questions from our group before we break into our small groups? Okay, so, oh, that is, and please do tag us so that we can repost it. Okay, so it looks like there are no questions currently. We'll have more time for questions at the end of the next hour. And so with our groups, you'll be randomly, as I mentioned at the beginning, but I know some people have joined us, you'll be randomly randomized into a group of 4 people. I do have some questions that I'll post in just a second for you. And each group should identify a recorder or note taker. And if they can please send those notes to me at the end of the session today. We'd like to aggregate who is here, where they're from. We'd love to publish on our website or somewhere the academic programs that are represented here today through our virtual lunch. So your note taker will be recording that, as well as your responses to the questions. And the questions will not be specific to your institution or to you. It'll just be more of a general it'll give us a general idea of where people are at, what are some of the challenges that they're having. We are working on publications all the time, presenting all the time, developing additional tools and resources. There is certainly much to be done. And so we want to support you in the initiatives that you are working on and help you to accomplish your goals and address the needs in your communities. And anytime that we can grow that exponentially on a national or even global level, we'd love to help you to do that. We want to encourage you when you're doing something new, innovative, different. Write it up for publication in OT Practice, AJOT, JOT, any journals, the Education Special Interest Section Quarterly. Write it up. Tell us what you learned and what went well, what didn't go well. The more that we can share information about diversity, equity, inclusion strategies, the better off we're going to be. And in academia, that's kind of the name of the game, is we're sharing information, helping to move our profession forward. So we look forward to continuing to collaborate with you. And at the Education Summit, I was so proud of the extraordinary presentations and work that individuals were able to present on there. So keep it coming, keep presenting, keep sharing your ideas. All right, so Wendy, thank you for being here. I see that you need to get going. Thank you so much.
Just thank you. Have a great rest of the day. So everybody take care.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So Ellen also needs to step away, and certainly we understand everyone is very, very busy. So if you're not able to stay for this second hour, understandable. If you need to turn off your screen and just listen in, that'll be okay as well. And then I see there was one other question, how the digital divide is affecting folks during this time, being in education and seeing the effects. That is an incredible challenge right now, particularly with mental health and social participation. I actually have started a virtual coffee break on Wednesday mornings at 10:30 on Facebook Live, where I'm trying to talk about different strategies. The first one was about staying connected in the age of social distancing, and talked also about just some of the cores of getting sleep regularly and really fighting for that for the purposes of mental health and engagement. And this week was about some of my favorite technological tools. So if we're not friends on Facebook, please friend me. It's Cristina Reyes Smith, and you'll have access to all of that. But I think they are publicly available. So yes, and you might talk about that in your small groups a little bit too. I think that those were the only questions and posts that I saw. So we'll go ahead and break out. I know that we are a little bit behind on schedule, so we'll probably do about 20 minutes in our small groups. And I'm going to go ahead and share the questions for you so you can start thinking about them. And if you do need to take a quick break during that transition, you can feel free to do that as well. So yes, here we go. Okay, so identify a reporter and a spokesperson for your group. Introduce yourselves briefly and your roles, and I'll broadcast these questions for you so that you'll have them. But share up to 3 challenges you're having in your program related to DEI, and also talk about some potential strategies and solutions. I'll be floating through some of the groups, as well as Catherine Hoyt and Stephanie Lancaster, and we'll also add Arame Angurizade and Lexi Rebney to that. And then by the time you finish, and I'll give you about a 5-minute warning when our time is going to be up. If you can identify one personal goal for yourself of how you can help move forward Vision 2025 for all people, populations, and communities this year, share that with your small group, and your note taker should also document those. And if you're comfortable having your name attached to that, you can do that. We have been tracking those throughout our other COTAD-ED initiatives this past year. But these are the questions for the next 20 minutes, and then we'll come together as a large group, debrief a little bit. Your spokesperson will be the one who can chime in and share, just so we don't have all, let's see, we have 55 people currently involved. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the breakouts. And if you have questions, please go ahead and you can share them in the chat room. Thank you again for being here.
With the task force, the new motion being presented, with MDI's work and with their support with COTAD. It was beautiful to see Sherry and Wendy on this call supporting us. So there's a lot of transition happening, and I feel like the timing is even more appropriate for and critical for the work that we're doing together. Cristina did a wonderful job emphasizing that it's going to take work across academic programs, across communities. And I love that, Cristina. I love how you said it's really going to take a village to do this work, to increase diversity, inclusion, equity discussions and works. I thought our discussions were absolutely fantastic. And I feel like this is just like the tip of the iceberg. Like, we could actually talk more and really break out tangible pieces, which I think is absolutely beautiful. And I would like to see these conversations continued and interactions continue with each other beyond just like the 2 times a year COTAD-ED meetings, right? That we can be considered this village and feel comfortable having individual chats, or, you know, having these groups together where we're just touching base and trying to check in with each other, like Gary said, right? Like sharing some ideas, and so that we feel connected throughout the year. I see us as ambassadors, and I see us as leaders, and I want us to, and we as COTAD, it's COTAD-ED, it's COTAD in general, we want to empower and encourage you guys to be the voice in your programs and to inspire others to join you in this work, in the work of improving curriculum around these topics, increasing student support, doing publications, presentations, recruitment and retention of faculty and students from underrepresented backgrounds. We are the ambassadors, and we can continue to spread this work with the other individuals within your academic programs. So I just, you know, COTAD-ED is excited about this work, is excited about staying connected with all of you. And I don't want to just continue chatting, but I just want to thank you guys all for your passion, for your energy, for your words of encouragement, and for your involvement in this. It takes a village, and there's students on this call, there's faculty on this call, there's lots of different viewpoints and perspectives, and all together I feel like we will continue to make progress in diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Thank you, Cristina and COTAD-ED leaders, for really doing a fantastic job, for staying consistent. And, you know, Cristina, we were like, we're not canceling, we're going to figure out a way. And that just speaks to the commitment of how much we are so passionate about this work. We're all volunteers in this work, but I feel like all of the work that we do can be embedded in every aspect of what we do professionally. So thank you for joining. It is 12:01 on West Coast time, 2:01, 3:01 for others. So it's officially my lunchtime. So I'm going to say goodbye and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Arame. And thank you all for being here. So if you still want to share, I'm here. Anyone else who wants to stay in, stay healthy, stay hopeful, and please continue to keep in touch. And we love seeing you and hope to see you soon.